purposes, we're live now. Oh, just in time for the phone to ring.
It's good when the phone rings. Chris, what are we up to today? What are you up to? I'm wearing Santa outfit.
You're wearing a Santa outfit.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, I've seen it. Yeah, I'm here trying to, make some sense of the world. I suppose. Got my mask on.
It's important to get your mask on, buddy.
It is. It is. So this is, what's the date? I don't know. I switched my days off. I don't know what today is.
It's
October 20th, Japanese Knife 101. That's today. It's Japanese Knife 101 with Chris Lord, myself, and Kevin Kent, who is currently dressed up as Santa.
It's part of the outfit. I was requested to be Spooky Santa for Halloween.
For Halloween, is this a Halloween party that you're going to, or
well,
no? I guess you can't have parties.
Well, we're hosting a Halloween outdoor gathering where everybody can be distant.
Okay.
And there's kids coming, and I was told I should be Spooky Santa. So Santa suit, obviously, because who doesn't? And I thought maybe something like Joker face paint.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Really ruin Christmas for some kids. That I suspect. I'm scared by it.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good way to be. So the point of Japanese Knife 101, for those of us who are new, is Kevin and I take the time every Tuesday we usually have like a loose theme figured out, but then the real aim of the game here is to answer questions that you might have about, maybe you're shopping for a new knife, or you're trying to take care of a knife, or you're curious about someone named Taco Motherfacco just said what a stud on Instagram. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is, but you're hired. So the goal for today is to just answer questions. If you wanted to know what's the difference between this blacksmith and that blacksmith, or I'm having a hard time figuring out what to do with this knife, or my Moritaka rust side, like anything like that. Like that's why we're here.
Does your Moritaka rust?
It used to before I smartened up.
Good to get smart.
Sometimes you got to smarten up. So, I should probably change the view here. There we go. That's better. Side by side seems to work better.
How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. We had a bit of a rainy couple of days, but it's gotten going a little bit. It got real busy in the shop here late in the day. It's always nice,
We got really a lot of snow in the last couple of days. Which is great news, because we got a ton of snow in the mountains. So I'm in Calgary, by the way. Ton of snow in the mountains. It looks like the ski hills might be open as early as November 1.
Oh, really?
Which is kooky. That's about 2 weeks earlier than usual. Usually it's kind of mid-November. So that's good. And I got to shovel a lot in the last 3 days. That was nice. And all the snow is now has been falling off of the solar panels all day in great big chunks off the side of the house that frighten me.
Oh, wow.
I might have to improve this situation.
So yeah, we haven't had any snow yet, knock wood. I've still been out on the motorbike. No.
Well, I'm still on my bicycle too, but I've just got winter tires on now.
Yeah, see, but you'll go on, the snow won't stop you from riding your bicycle, whereas the snow will stop me from riding a motorcycle.
Anyway, sorry, we should probably talk about something that's interesting.
We should talk about work, yeah. So Japanese Knife 101 is your chance to, it's like an Ask Me Anything. It's Knifeware's Ask Me Anything. So if you're curious about, and like I said, any of the knives or any of the things we sell, like stones or some of the cast iron cookware, or why do I need an end grain cutting board? Why do I need to treat it with beeswax? Things like anything related to that's fair game. Kevin and I know quite a bit about cooking and, eating and drinking. We know a lot about that. Kevin goes to Japan, except for this year, goes to Japan several times a year.
Not this year, 0 times this year.
0 times. So if you're curious about what goes on over there, it's all fair game. Otherwise, I'll start just going on.
Yeah, and post questions in here. It looks like Moose Cartwright has joined us to pressure us into answering questions, which is nice. And there you go. You should probably tell everybody on Instagram what's going on.
Yeah. So if they haven't heard, if you're watching on Instagram, if you tune in on YouTube, the link here is on this impressive sign that I made last month. What's actually really impressive is that I wrote this all backwards. So you can see it left-handed. Yeah. I know that everyone thinks that we can't write, but we can. But if you tune in on YouTube, you'll see the other half of the conversation. So I'm using my computer to talk to Kevin, and Kevin, you can see him if you go to YouTube, and you can hear what he has to say as well. So, but I'll do my best. I'll do my best to get to your questions as well if I see them pop up on Instagram. So I thought if you're going to be dressed up like Santa Claus, I thought it might be fun to talk about what makes a good knife that's a gift, like for a gift, because I would say that, as many of the knives that we sell to individuals. Oh, Nick Skinner says, hi, Kevin. That's Nick who was at Ken of Inglewood, no?
Yeah, he's now in Halifax, Dartmouth.
Oh,
across the water.
Yeah, just
across
the
the water.
Side of town, essentially.
Yeah, around the bay.
Yeah, out by the bay, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow.
Yeah. Chris, how would you choose it? Because Christmas is coming, right? And I think the really important things to talk about while Christmas coming is there's a few problems potentially. Our shops are getting very, very busy, and it's sometimes hard to get into the shops at the busiest times because Christmas or because of COVID. We have reduced the number of people allowed in the shops. Everybody has to wear a mask, wash hands a lot, that sort of thing. And we're just trying to keep everyone and our staff and our customers safe. So we're limiting the number.
Some people are trying to make them not safe.
Yeah, well,
but some.
Some people are like that. Some people are upset about this.
I haven't gotten into a good grocery store argument in a while about that.
Something happened to me at the market the other day. I was there on Saturday.
Yeah.
And everybody was wearing a mask at the market. It's a bylaw in Calgary. You have to wear a mask when you're out. And one lady did not have a mask on. And she was just kind of stomping around, really. Yeah. And this young lady, like maybe 20, 25, went up to her and said, "Where's your mask?" And she says, "I don't have to wear one. I'm exempt." And then the young girl said something like, everybody has to wear a mask. Get out of here. So I kind of said something, and then about 20 people all said something, and then she said, "I'm leaving," and we all stood around clapping.
Oh, that's kind of the point. That's what she was
kind of bullying, really, but
but you know what? Bully,
But you would go and attack somebody too that was just kind of carrying a knife dangerously around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
There was someone on Instagram just asked about the aprons that we've got, because I've got a different.
Well, you should answer that.
Part of the store today. These are from a company in Vancouver called Search and Rescue Denim. So I believe that you can find them on the website. They've got a couple of different styles. I quite like this one over here with the. It's got leather pockets on it. And you got a cool little, almost like a little strap here for your side towel. You got some good pen and spoon pockets up at the top, because that's where you put that stuff. A couple down here for your notebook and such. They're $200. This one's $208, but all the hardware, all the straps are leather, and all the hardware is a really good kind of brass. Yeah, they're really good for I would know it from working in a kitchen, but if you were a hairdresser, or even just in a retail shop, for sure, there's a good argument to wear an apron. One of the nice things I really like about theirs is that you can get these harnesses separately. I'm kind of a funny, my proportions are kind of strange. I'm pretty tall, but I've got a very long torso, so I can't wear a bib apron because they pull me down like that. Oh, they're $208.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars.
Which is more or less $3 American.
Yeah, 45 cents if you're in the States. But then these harnesses, you can clip those on and they'll sit on your shoulders instead of around your neck. It's a lot more comfortable. So something fun. Maybe you want to give that to someone for Christmas.
Well, back to Christmas. I think it's important to know that it's difficult to get into the shops sometimes at peak hours right now.
Yeah.
It's our, because we ship a lot of knives from the warehouse and from the different stores. And our shippers, which is Canada Post and UPS and DHL, are all not shipping as quickly as they could, right?
Yeah. Well, because they've got to
create
more space and things like that.
Well, yeah,
too,
their business has really taken off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that it's not going to get any better. Basically, they're not saying we're going to get faster over Christmas. They're saying we're going to get slower over Christmas. So I saw Lee Valley sent out an email to me today. It said, "Hey, because of these things, you should do your Christmas shopping a bit early." Yeah. And so if you're thinking of doing Christmas shopping, you might want to kind of get on it, just because this is a funny year. There's a pandemic, Chris.
Yeah, there's been some shit going on.
That's what it is. There's been some things happening. That's why my hair is so long these days, because I can't get a haircut, even though I'm in a barbershop.
Look at me. That's true. I don't own a barbershop, so but. So yeah, I've already started doing a little bit of our shopping. We've already got a few things for our kids and whatnot. So.
If you were getting a knife for Christmas, what would you want? And if you were going to buy a knife for somebody, how would you think about buying one?
Well, the knife, I guess.
Can I guess the knife you want?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you'll get it right. I'm sure.
Is it a Musashi 239 to 241 millimeter Kuroshu Yuto?
Yeah, that'd be the one. That'd be the one for sure. Maeve has paid attention. I don't know if I ever told you this, but Maeve told me she remember, like, every now and again my girlfriend will pop in and she'll see these videos. She'll stick around for very long, but she was paying attention one day. She's like, "Oh, what does he want?" And then she like asked Alex or something later, like, "Yeah, Maeve, your fella has very expensive tastes. You'll win Christmas if you get that one."
Which is that knife, Chris?
It's like $745, I think.
Okay, well, pull that out.
Yeah,
and also have a look at that new Yanagiba from the same line, because I don't think that's priced right.
Yeah, I know. I tried to look it up online. So when I'm trying to, like, I probably help people shop for knives more than I get knives for myself. So when I'm helping someone pick out something for a gift, and I did it a couple of times today, I always focus on 3 points. And I think this knife hits most of them, to be honest with you. When you're giving something as a gift, you want to make sure that it's going to be easy to take care of. There's 3
things. Which means I think stainless steel.
Stainless steel generally. Right. If they're the type of person, like if you're pretty confident, like, and this is kind of like, this is the line in the sand for me. I'll ask someone, is the person that you're giving this to, are they the sort of person to collect records? Like, do they like taking care of things?
Yeah. Do they like LPs? That's a really good one.
Yeah. Because they take up a little more room. They want, they can get dusty, they can warp, so on and so forth. So if you're giving a knife for someone, you want to make sure that they're easy to take care of, because like Kevin said, stainless steel is generally a lot easier. Carbon steel can rust if you're not taking care of it. And it's kind of like giving someone a kitten for Christmas. Like, maybe they like the idea of a cat, but they don't really want to take care of it. So that's why I like stainless steel. The other thing to think about, I think, is that it should look cool. Right? Now that means different things to different people. You kind of, presumably, if you're buying someone a gift, you know them a little bit better than I do. Like, yeah, I think this looks really cool. And if you don't, there might be something wrong with you. But someone might really like something a little more classic, right? Maybe they love the color green and this handle speaks to them. It's hard to see, but that's a green handle. So pick out something that's easy to take care of and something that's going to look really cool. Because when they open up the box,
looking cool is important, I think, because I know gift giving's not supposed to be competitive.
Oh, but it often is.
But I think it is. Listen, we've got some questions. We've got somebody on Instagram, so you should answer them because they can't hear me. You should also tell them to watch us over here. But they're saying, what is a good recommendation for home cook for a first home cooked Japanese knife?
Okay, so on Instagram, yes, I saw that question kind of float by there a minute ago. You're looking for your first knife for a home cook. I would, you know what? I don't think this knife gets enough love. I just had it in my hand there, but this is one of those Sakai Takayuki, the 8 EBL steel.
You know what? So, and that micarta handle is fantastic. And I'm glad you asked a question about that, or I'm glad you have that one, because we have a question on YouTube about that steel coming up.
Oh, okay, cool. So I really like this knife. Maybe it's not the flashiest thing, but the steel is durable compared to like carbon steels. You know, like don't go trying to open cans with it, you'll break it. But it'll keep a really great edge. It's very, very easy to take care of. This handle in particular, micarta is damn near indestructible. Super sharp, stay sharp for a long time. It's $237. It'll last you your whole life. It's a great, and like I don't own one of these myself, but you know Chris at the gastropub, Kevin, he owns several Sakai Takayuki knives. So I've used his and I've sharpened them for him, and like these are great. I think this is a wicked knife.
Do you know what? Aoki-san and his team produce great knives. They just do, right? And right from not too expensive to Ferrari prices.
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of those. There's we have a couple in the store. We've got 210s and Santokus. You know, maybe I generally urge someone to consider a 210 or a 240, like a Gyuto, over a Santoku, unless you're really small. Like if you're like, or you're just afraid of a bigger knife. But I would lean on that. I like a 210 as a minimum for me. The only Santoku I own, Kevin, is the one that I made that day in Takafu.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I got a lot of 240s.
Me too. Me too. Listen, we have a question, and it's, could you please help me understand the cutting characteristics of Swedish stainless steel, especially Udholm Swedish carbon steel? Oh, and Udholm Swedish carbon steel. Okay. What and it's this is the real dumbed down version, but I think it hits all the major points. Generally, stainless steel, you have to do a lot more work with it to make it cut really smooth like carbon steel. It's got to do with the way the structure of the steel, like on a microscopic level, is. The the Swedish stainless steel, why people really like them in Japan for Japanese knives, is they're super fine grained. They're not super hard. They don't stay sharp for a super long time. But what they are is really fine grained. So you can really get a killer edge on them, much smoother than any kind of European, like German steel or German knives, let's say. Right, because microscopically the steel is finer grained. So you can just get that kind of surgical blazing edge on them. That's why people really like the stainless steel from Sweden. The Udholm carbon steel is similar to Japanese either white #1 or some of the yellow carbon steel. So not the hardest carbon steels, but nice carbon steel.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So it feels like it feels like inexpensive but nice Japanese carbon steel, the Udholm carbon. And someone said, "What's the painting behind you?" These 3 paintings here are by a lady named Judy Wada, and I've been. She's Japanese. Well, she's not. She's from Calgary. She's married to a Japanese guy, And I've met her up a couple times in Tokyo, and she took me for a wild Tokyo tour once. We went up to the bar at the top of the blah, blah, blah hotel. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one that was featured in, what was that Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson?
Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation. So that was the bar. That was the hotel they were staying in. And so we went up to that bar, and we had 2 shots of whiskey each. And each shot of whiskey, from the whiskey we chose, I bought a bottle of it at duty free for 1.5 times a shot at that bar.
Nice.
I bought a liter of it.
That's how
I bought a liter of it for the same price as I paid for 1 shot, or well, for the same price I paid for 1.5 shots. But they took the ice out and carved the ice into a ball, and then held it up for your inspection and wanted to know, is this satisfactory? I was like, chip off a little bit there, and then he didn't put it in my glass. It was ridiculous. I don't generally have whiskey or scotch with ice, but up there I did. Because
Michelle was asking if he's looking for a Christmas gift for him to him, what would be our top 3 Gyuto 240s, just under $1,000, excluding a Denka?
Well, 1, get a Denka. 2, that one you just showed.
Yeah, for sure. The Masashi.
3, actually, the Hanyakis aren't under 1,000, are they?
No, but we could look at one.
We could.
But he said a 240. You know what?
We only have
one for a 240 is a Masakage Zero.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's well under 1,000.
Yeah, $710. And there's these are a classy knife.
They got what's so great about that knife? Boom, tell me.
Okay, so if I really like the fit and finish on them, but they're made out of Algami Super. So super blue carbon steel is one of the harder materials we can make a knife out of. But the fit and finish on this knife is there's a lot of really nice details, like the little brass collar, the ironwood handle with the mosaic pin in it. I find if you generally I know Michelle I think has a couple of Takedas, a couple Moritakas. So this might be a little heavier than what you're used to, but the handle, even for
I like how it feels, man.
Yeah, well, look at the shape of it. It's not just a block, right? It's quite ergonomic. There's no little ridges or anything. The fit and finish on a Masakage Zero is incredible. And if you I find they're really popular with some of my colleagues at the college. That kind of old school chef likes a Western handle 240, something a little bit bigger. I'd also go with, now I've got one here. I don't know if there's any elsewhere. We could look it up. But Michelle, those Manaka AT.
Oh, those ATS 30s.
Yeah, so
that's
this is
a super fun idea.
$724.
I've got one of those too. I really like that.
Yeah, and so we've got a new guy in the Ottawa shop. His name's Meki, and we were talking about Manaka's knives quite a bit today. And there's something about the texture on these, and I know that's something you guys will make fun of me, but that's what I really like about this knife is I really like the way it feels in my hand. Well, this is up there too. It feels different.
About the knife in your right hand, somebody's asking, you guys use the Kuro shoes in a lot of your demos. Is that because they're sexy, or are they really awesome too?
Well, they're both. They're both. You know what it is I'm trying to convince myself to just buy one. That's why I use them so much. But it's a bit of both. It's kind of, we talk about this when we talk about carving a turkey or something like that. But if you're putting on a show, you should use things that contribute to the show. So if you're carving a roast, you've got it. No, I hope you're not doing this right now, but you've cooked a big prime rib and you're carving it in front of a crowd, then the knife you're using should look pretty awesome. It should be part of it, right? So when I'm doing the videos and whatnot, so when I'm doing videos and things like that, I do use them. quite a bit, you know,
Chris, why else do you use them?
because I want one and they're super sharp.
Why do you want one?
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
really what Brian's asking. Why do you want one?
well, like I said, I really like the way that knife feels in my hand. Um, I really like the geometry of a Masashi knife. I find that they're kind of like they're made for me. Like I like a taller knife, like because I've got pretty big, like my hands are like, well, I got big fat palms, I got short fingers, but my hands are pretty big. And so I'm not gonna bang my knuckles off the cutting board. I really like how flat the edge is up until a point. Like you can still rock it if you want, but it really suits the way I chop. Same with the Nakiris, you know. But that's what I like about Masashi. Like his Masashi told us when he came to visit Ottawa, he told us that he makes knives with professionals in mind. Like I think his knives are very popular amongst professional cooks in Japan. And that's kind of how I approach it. Like I cooked for 15 years before I worked at Knifeware. So when I look at kitchen tools, I kind of look at it with a little more of a critical eye. So I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing I really love about those knives. I'll tell you a funny story about those knives too. Is I go to Japan a lot, right? We have 2 or 3 times a year. I've been going to Japan for a dozen years now, 2 or 3 times a year, and I work with a lot of blacksmiths there. I work really closely with them, help them sometimes design knives or at least just change them a little bit for our stores.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a long time since I saw a new line of knives, like in a prototype state, and bought it on the spot.
And just went for it.
It's been a long time. And the Kuro shoes, when I did, I saw them, I popped on it immediately. I just thought it was. I loved the look. I loved the feel. I knew it was Masashi and a steel that he likes working with, so I knew it was going to be brilliant. And they were so unique. And I actually popped on the spot. The one he gave me for the sample, I went to his drawer with special handles, and I got him to put a handle on it, engrave it for me. I took it home on that trip, and then placed a monthly order with him. It was crazy. So there's nothing about those knives I don't love. Now they're pricey. I get that, right? They're not for everybody, but man, it's so my knife.
Like, you know, like I came up with like a new little anecdote the other day. And I was talking to a younger cook, and he had come in with, he had a budget in mind. And like he wanted to spend like $200, no more, no less. And the knife that I can't even remember what he want. I think it was like one of the Fujimoto hammer tones. And it ended up being like the 210 is $279. So it was $80 more than what he wanted to spend. And I said, look, man, I get it. I was a cook. I have a feeling I am familiar with what your paycheck looks like.
Yeah.
I said, I get it. I said, I can put it aside for you. You know, like I've got a couple, I'll put it aside. I said, but I want you to think about this. I said, imagine you're going to buy a car. And if you spent $10,000 more on a car than what you had in mind, but they told you that you would never have to buy another car again, would you spend it? And that's kind of what it's like when you're looking at, when you're looking at knives and you know, like, yeah, you like the knife I want is $745. Now I'm come at this from a different, I have more than one knife kind of thing. But even if I didn't, it was my first Japanese knife. If I spent $745 on a knife and never had to buy another one again, it's kind of worth it in the end.
True.
So like, but that's what I say. Like if you're buying a new car, and what if, yeah, you know what, even if it costs twice as much as what every other car cost, but you never had to replace it and you could use it every day, well, it's worth every penny, right? Instead of like having to get a new car every 8 years or whatever it is I seem to burn through. So
questions. The Fujiwara, Nikiri, Mabroshi, and Denka, is there a difference? Just the steel type, or is there other differences? Trevor, the big differences between them is the steel type and who made them. So with the Nishiji line from Fujiwara-san, he buys laminated steel, and his apprentices or his workers all make those. He doesn't have anything to do with them, really. The Mabroshi uses the same steel, but he makes the little sandwich by himself. So they take the two pieces of stainless and this piece of carbon steel, and they hammer them together, and they make their own little sandwich per knife. It makes a lot more work for that line of knives, but it also means they've hammered the steel a lot more, which makes it tougher and stronger than the Nishiji, even though they're the same steel. You got to remember, looking at knives and steel, a lot of it's not one white carbon, so it's the same thing. But you're not taking into consideration craftsmanship then. So think about it. If we gave you, Chris, me, and two other people watching, if we gave us flour, water, salt, and yeast, we'd all make a different loaf of bread, right? And there would be very different qualities in the loaf of bread. So craftsmanship's really important, even if it's the same steel, right? And so think about VG10 from a blacksmith like Anrisan, and VG10 from like a factory like what the Gomas are from Haruyuki, right? The Goma is a great knife, but the VG10 from Anrisan stays sharp longer.
Yeah.
Because they've hammered it and it takes on the forging effect. So that's one thing to worry about. Two, the second thing to think about when you're talking about Fujiwara's lines of knives is the Mabroshi. So the Nishiji is laminated steel they bought, and that's made all by employees. The Mabroshi is, some of them are employees and some of them are more hands-on with Fujiwara himself. And the Denkas are really his pride, and he's much more hands-on with those than the other lines. So there's some of that. There's some of it's just a much better knife because of the workmanship that's gone into it, and it's better steel, or at least a steel that's going to stay sharp longer. So I hope that answers your question, Trevor. He says, "Oh, thanks." So that's good. Also, I got a question: is the Shibata-san tank a practical knife for daily use, or is it a novelty? And my answer is yes, and also yes.
Yeah. They're not, I find about the tank, they're not as big as what you think they are. Like, the pictures make them seem a lot larger than they are. I don't have anything that's really comparable.
Well, that's because he invented a new knife, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about the tank is, if you're interested in the tank, there's a 300-person waiting list right now, and he's sending us about between 0 and 8 every month.
Yeah.
And some months are 0, some months are 4, some months are 8, some are 6. And what happens, and this is an insider tip, man, what happens is get yourself on the call list when it's in stock list, right? Yeah. So if there's a knife on our website that's like chronically out of stock and you really want it, get like on the list that says, like a Hinora, for example, get on the list that says, call me when it's in stock. So what happens is when it's received in inventory at the warehouse, our computer sends out 15 or 20, depends how many we got, 15 or 20, maybe even 30 emails to say it's in stock. And it waits 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, if there's still some in stock, it sends out 30 more emails. And if there's still some in stock, it sends, so every 15 minutes, it sends out emails. If you really want one of these hard to get knives, get on that list. And as soon as you get the email, buy it, like that second. Don't stop and think about it and consider, because it will be gone, especially the tanks. Like I don't have one. No. I don't have one. I really want one, but I can't seem to get my hands on one.
I really wanted one. I want one too, and I screwed up. So
yeah, you totally screwed up. You had it in your store for 3 days, 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4. It wasn't very long. Although I do know where, like, one of the guys who owns one, I know where he lives. I go get it. You know.
Somebody said, is Anrisan still making knives, or is it Ikeda-san making it? Ikeda-san's worked with Anrisan for years and years and years and years and years. And to be honest, most of the Anrisan knives for the last 5 years were made by Ikeda-san, but Anrisan, you know, he's in his 80s, slowing down. He's not hammering as many knives as he used to.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard to hammer a knife.
Dude, it's hard work, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand. These guys get, I don't understand.
Yeah, I thought that I would be better suited to it.
But so, because your size?
Well, more because like I was used to being in the kitchen, you know, but like a blacksmith shop is a lot hotter than a kitchen.
Oh,
you know, like
crazy hot.
And
though I do want to cook a pizza in their forge one day.
Oh, that'd be good. It'd probably taste terrible.
Or a lump of foie gras.
Yeah, it'd be fast. Imagine you could just like cook, like, you know how like Masashio like light smokes off of his the knife he's working on. What if he just like made lunch that way? Like he had like just like little like thin pieces of beef, and you just touched them with the hot steel.
That'd be funny.
That's not the worst idea I've had.
I should do that next time I'm there.
You should just bring a pack of hot dogs with you.
Just bring some. No, just bring some. Dude, it's in Japan. I can just get a pack of sliced Wagyu beef.
You probably get it at the 7-Eleven.
No, but I've seen thin sliced tongue at the 7-Eleven. I can bring that.
Yeah, you'll find something. Jay asked, "What is your sweet spot for Rockwell hardness?" And I'm gonna give you a kind of a crappy answer. You're not gonna like it, but I really like the really hard steels. You know, I really like the, 64 or 65 kind of like. I don't have to sharpen them as much. I know how to use a knife, so I don't really chip them that often. I have chipped knives, and because accidents happen, but through regular use, like I use a Denka to cut squash, like it's fine, So the harder the better. If your knife skills maybe aren't that of someone who's got 15 years of experience, then I might scale it back to like 62. That 60-62 range can be quite forgiving. So I don't know. What do you think, Kevin? Do you have a sweet spot you like?
You know what? I've got a Denka, I've got some ZDP and some HAP 40 knives, which are incredibly hard. I've got also the knife I was using today, which is a Masakagi Shimo 240 Gyuto, which is less hard. And I've even got VG10. I was using VG10 2 days ago. I'm kind of all over the board. You know what? I want a knife that inspires me. It feels good and it looks good, right?
Yeah.
And I'll even let a knife that looks good be really good looking, even if it doesn't feel so good. So I think for me, and the story are important, how it feels, and then what steel it is, right? If I had a choice, I think I would have all my steels Algarmi Super or white carbon steel. But then again, I like SRS 15. That ATS 30 from Manaka. I love that knife that I'm using right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm all over the board. It's not my number one way to choose a knife.
I think that like an important thing to think about is, regardless of steel type or Rockwell hardness or anything like that, the care instructions, like here's a little secret, the care instructions that come in your knife, regardless of what you buy, the one sheet of paper or the one side of the paper says the exact same thing for every single knife. Like every knife, you really should treat the same way. You don't put it in the dishwasher. You don't twist or torque or pry with your knife. It's just the harder the steel gets, the easier that something bad will happen, right? But the care is always the same. I don't know if that helps anyone at all. But I find like when I'm having a conversation with Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to throw a question at you.
Yeah, well, all I was going to say was, because sometimes people will say like carbon steel has more maintenance. Well, it's not that it's any harder to take care of. It's exactly the same as stainless steel. It's just if you don't follow the rules, the knife is going to let you know. That's the thing. So your camera's frozen up there, right, Kevin? Unless you've been sitting perfectly still for a while.
I've been sitting perfectly still.
That's incredible. So. Oh, Trevor wants to go on a trip with us. You don't want to travel with me, Trevor.
No,
I'm
he
a
doesn't.
drunken mess.
No, we're no fun. We're like some kind of rock and roll touring band.
Yeah,
it's not good.
We're too old to hang out with ourselves.
There's a question here.
Yeah.
Do you expect to have discounts on stones and sharpening bridges at the garage sale? Also, is there a big difference between the Chocera 800 and the 1000? I have my eye on the 800, but it's out of stock. I guess the first question is, why do you want the 800 over the 1000? I'd rather have a 1000. It gives it's the perfect knife for finishing European knives and many carbon steels. So I guess that's question one. Why do you have your eye on the 800? And I think point number two we should make about that is what the garage sale is.
Yeah.
The garage sale is not. It's not a sale on regular price items unless they're dinged or damaged or scratched or dented or something. The garage sale, so 2 or 3 times a year, I go to Japan. I've been doing it by Zoom this year because there's a thing going on. I don't know if you know about this, Chris. There's a pandemic. There's a pandemic going on, Chris, and I can't fly.
I was wondering what's happening.
Yeah, it's a pandemic. That's why you got to wash your hands a lot and wear a mask sometimes.
Oh, I've just been wearing the mask for fun.
I wear it because I look like the Lone Ranger, to quote a certain insane political leader. Anyway, I go to Japan. I buy these weird things. So what I buy though is knives from small makers that can't supply us enough knives for an entire year. They can only supply us knives for a small amount of time because they don't really make that many knives. Or I buy knives from new blacksmiths or new makers that we meet. Or sometimes it's one-of-a-kind knives. Sometimes it's blacksmith experiments. Yeah. Sometimes it's mistakes. Like Tojiro famously put the wrong name on the blade once and a different name on the package.
Yeah, I remember that.
To us for very little. I think it was a knife that retailed in Japan for $100 or $110, and we sold it for $60 because we got it for such a nice deal. Now, our customers mostly didn't care because they can't read Japanese characters. Yeah, so it didn't really matter. And what it was a great knife for a smoking deal, right? Yeah. So that's what garage sale's about. So it's not about our regular products. It's about unique and fun and new and exciting stuff that only comes around once or twice a year. Or sometimes it's the only time you'll see it. So that's what the garage sale's about. And Chris, is there any differences to the garage sale this year?
Well, yeah, this year it's going to be, the garage sale is going to be largely online. So
what happens usually?
Yeah, usually we would have, we pick a date, the first half of November. We do one in the spring as well. And that Monday morning before the store opens, so I'm in Ottawa, I'm the first shop to open. I'll have a lineup outside of my store starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. And last year I counted, I think it was 29 people walked into the store at 10:01. And I've got this like silly bugle that I've had for years, and it's all banged up. It doesn't work right. I put on this big show of having everyone come in. And the store is like, the cases are covered in knives. We've got tables down the middle of the store. It's a lot of fun. And it's, you'll just see people walking around the store like piling stuff up in their arm and trying to find a clear spot somewhere to go through everything. And because they're afraid if they put it down, someone will buy it. And then, so it's a lot of fun. Now, but because of the pandemic and everything going on, we as much as we would love to have that number of people into the store, because it is a lot of fun. Everyone has a riot. I usually have like sneaky booze hidden around the store. I'll put a drop in your coffee. And but we can't do that this year. So we've decided, we tried it out in the spring when the stores were closed, and we're moving the garage sale is going to be 95% online. So leading up to the garage sale, when we're doing things like this, you can expect a few more sneak peeks of things as they show up. We're going to have some YouTube live events during garage sale. So garage sale is going to start on November 16th at 10 a.m. Ottawa time. So if you're in Calgary, that's 8 o'clock. If you're in Vancouver, that's 7 o'clock. I don't know what the time would be if you were in like New Zealand or something. But we're going to be doing a YouTube live during the day of garage sale, and then on the following Thursday as well. Just where it's like we're going to have everything out. Sorry, Kevin?
Sorry, you're saying the day of garage sale. The garage sale goes a week.
Yes,
the first day of garage, which is the Monday.
Yeah. So on the Monday, Kevin, I presume it's going to be Kevin. They're going to have all the knives laid out in the warehouse, all of like the one-offs and anything that you like. It would be a lot like what we're doing today, where you've got the chance like, hey, I'm really interested in this knife. Can I see it? How does it feel? What does can you show me the edge? What can you get your, there'll be a ruler handy, like anything you need to know about these knives. Kevin and part of the team out there will be available to answer those questions for you. And it'll be a lot of, so it's really it might sound a bit crazy, but it worked really well in the spring. A lot of people got some really cool stuff, and it'll keep everyone safe. The stores will have a little bit, but the bulk of it is going to be available through the website. So.
Yeah. And sorry, I wish we could do it the old way, but just for this year, we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
So there's that. Iggy says the online garage sale in the spring was fantastic. So that's good. Again, probably because people can have one-on-one, like people can really just ask questions. Yeah. We can answer them, and we can show them and measure them and weigh them and really give you the close-up look of the knife.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, we're really going to we're aware that we can't have everyone into the store, but we're willing to do everything we can to mimic it as close.
Yeah, we want to make it as awesome as possible, right?
Yeah.
Iceberg Mama is saying, did Naoto figure a way to break the huge stone into finger stones? Do you know about this, Chris?
No, this is new to me.
So finger stones, you know what finger stones are? They usually they're tiny stones. You just put them on your fingertips and use them to polish. Often you polish swords with them.
Yeah.
But it can give a really cool finish, right? So you want different types of stones for different things. We have the stone that gives that really. So when you're sharpening on a knife like a koishi, for example.
Yeah.
Here's one. And on the koishi, there's this smoky finish and then really shiny along the edge. So we've got a finger stone. So Naoto's got a finger stone that does this. Well, he doesn't have a finger stone. We have a stone about this big. It's huge. But we have to slice it and break it into small pieces so you can use them on your fingers and just polish the knife. Now, Naoto being Naoto is trying to figure out a way to saw them and with making the least dust and the most stone left over and stuff. And if he doesn't hurry up, I'm just going to whack it with a hammer and break it into small pieces.
That was my guess.
Because that's, that's the other way to do it.
Yeah.
But I think he's looking for someone to cut little thin sections of it and then break them. So no, he hasn't done it yet. Yes, he should get on top of that. Annabelle is asking, can you talk about the Matsutani knives?
Well, I don't know. I don't know as much about the actual blacksmith, but what I do know about them is that, I know at the last garage sale, they were $138 for a Damascus stainless steel Santoku or 180 Yuto.
Yeah.
That when I was talking about Christmas gifts and whatnot, you should just buy 5 of them and give them to your family. Those knives they're incredible. They're really sharp. They're really nice to look at. The Damascus is really kind of, it's very pronounced. But it's kind of got this, I think sometimes they use like a glass blaster or a sand blaster kind of thing to put on this really velvety sort of look to the knives. The knives look beautiful and the handles are super comfortable. They sharpen up awesome. I would jump at it, especially if you're looking to buy some gifts for people. But I don't know much about the man.
So Matsutani is the brother of the man who owns Ryusen Knives, who works with Takamura-san.
Oh, okay.
They used to. He lives right across the street from Takamura. Anyway, Matsutani, what he really wants to do is make super great knives for the price.
Yeah. Oh, and they are, like, hands down.
The most horsepower per dollar. Matsutani wants the best knives for the price. So he wants the most horsepower knives for the price. And that's really interesting because he's killing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. So exactly what you said, Chris. If you're into something, like if you want a gift that doesn't break the bank, get one of those and give it to all your neighbors or all your friends or whatever, right? Like all your family, because it'll get them into a great knife. It'll be the best knife they've ever used. And God, it doesn't break the bank. They're cheaper than Henkel's, man. They're cheaper than Henkel 4-stars from the Bay. By like $100 cheaper than Henkel 4-stars from the Bay.
Yeah,
like
and they're
crazy,
way
right?
better.
Oh my God. They don't even compete, right?
And I'm pretty sure that there were Nikiris, and I don't know what's coming. Naoto does. Naoto
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
That's coming in.
I'll tell you what there is. There's Nikiris, Santokus, 210.
Okay.
And
I know we had 180 mil ones
There
before.
should be petties coming.
Ooh.
But I can't promise the petties because I asked and he said if I can.
Okay.
So he didn't sound super enthused about it, but I have faith. I have faith.
Cool. Yeah, I quite enjoy selling those knives. I think they're the right knife for a lot of people.
Such a great gift, right?
Yeah.
Don Penny says he's leaning toward a 270 Tsujihiki for the next one. He wants to come and check some stuff out. And by the way, Chris's brisket is not as moist as mine.
That's true.
That's what he said.
You know what? Everyone, it's a well-known fact that I cook a dry brisket in comparison to Don Penny's.
You know what? I've had your brisket. And I don't think so. I think Don Penny's just talking smack.
I don't know why Don does that to me, you know? Like, I've been nothing but helpful.
If you don't know who Don Penny is, it's important to know. He's a man of he's done some big things, right? Like he was one of the first people to solo sail a 2-person laser sailboat by himself. One of the first people to sail one of this around the world alone. It took him 9 months. He has been to the North and South Pole.
Incredible.
And he actually at one point was in a fistful at a fight to the death, I suppose, with a timber wolf. But he did with a Japanese knife from Kurasaki, a hunting knife from Kurasaki, managed to get it out and kill the wolf as it was biting his arm. So he sacrificed his left arm to get the upper hand on the wolf. Yeah. So there's some things to know about Don Penny.
Now he has a robot arm.
Well, he's like the $6 million man.
I was going to say the
$6 million doesn't go the same way as it used to. No. $6 million to buy you a few houses in Calgary. I'm not going to buy you a bionic arm and a bionic eye. And slow motion, fast running.
Yeah. I was going to say 6 million might just cover your insulin if you live in the States. KR Boulden on Instagram says, I don't know how they heard your half of the story. You use a chisel to break the stone up. You must be talking about the finger stones. Not a saw. Try to chip them along the grain using the Toma plate to thin or flatten. There will be some waste, but this is how I've made some finger stones out of broken stone. Oh, good to know. I'm just glad that this masonry job is on Naoto, not me, because I'm not. I would be.
You know how I've made some finger stones out of some of our stones that were too thin? I whacked them with a hammer.
Yeah, I'm a hammer whacker myself.
I whacked them with a hammer and then just kind of rubbed them a little bit on a diamond flattening stone, and then there you go.
Oh, Greg Bishop is a nice guy. Just bought 2 more knives at the Vancouver Knifeware. A Nikiri for his daughter-in-law and a chef's knife for his wife's birthday next month.
Oh!
I feel like
he's going to be popular, man.
I feel like I might have met Greg when I was out in Vancouver. I was out there a couple of years ago, Greg. I don't know, your face looks familiar when I look on Facebook here.
What were you doing out in Vancouver?
Well, I went to Vancouver when the store first opened. I went out there to.
Did you?
Yeah. Remember, I was brought in as the ringer. Everyone else was real tired, and I was the one to walk around the store because everyone had like opening a store is not something that. Here's the secret. Here's the knifeware secret. All right. If you've got an idea,
Ooh, tell me.
do it now. So when we opened up, we don't do things slowly. Generally speaking, as a group of people. So when we opened up the store, I went out. I was there for the day it opened, but it was my job to find all the things that a tired Mike might have missed. So.
Who was there on our opening day?
Oh yeah, opening day in Vancouver was awesome. We had a whole bunch of the Takafu blacksmiths. There was
no, there's more Takas. The more Takas were there on opening day, and then Takafu guys were like the, or was it no, it was the other way around.
Other way around, yeah. So it was Shibata-san was there, Nomura-san was there. I met Kurasaki, Kato, Ikeda. That was them. That was 5. There was 5 Japanese guys because that filled up a minivan plus us.
And the Hanamaker.
Yamamoto-san.
Yamamoto's there.
Yeah. They were a lot of fun. And remember, the only 2 things they wanted to do in Vancouver. There was only 2 things they wanted to do. They wanted Japadogs.
We did that at the airport.
We didn't even we did that in the parking lot of the airport, got that out of the way. And then they wanted to go to the bridge, the Capilano Bridge.
Capilano Bridge, yeah.
Yeah, so that was their big thing.
And poor Nomura was so afraid it was going to fall down, he was going to die. Remember, he was like hugging the railing.
Oh, yeah.
Just creeping across, the poor guy. Yeah. And of course, Kurasaki is bouncing.
Yeah, he's just trying to scare everybody.
Dick.
Iceberg is in, you need a store in Quebec City. Well, the problem with Quebec City is that we've only got one dude in the whole company.
Well, the problem with Quebec City is that it's after Montreal. But I wouldn't say no. Do you know what? I really like Quebec City.
You know, I don't really remember being, I know I've been there, but I don't really have many memories of it. I think I was there too small of a kid.
Something weird happened to me in Quebec City. And this is going back to like 1995.
Okay.
Drove a $200 car across the country.
I've heard bits of this story.
Which was weird. But I discovered something in 1994. It was 95. I discovered something in 1995 that.
Oh, you've like cut out. Like I don't know what you said. I don't know what happened in 1995.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Like all right. Yeah. So I discovered that beer comes in alcohol percentages higher than 5%.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea. So we were in a little square where the Chateau in old Quebec City. Beautiful, right? People down the back, paintings, and just all kinds of stuff going on. Cobblestones and old buildings, like just stunning, right? And we're sitting on a patio, probably the most touristy patio in town, drinking. And I said, well, I want beer that was made in this town. And they're like, we have Quebec beer. This is great. And they brought me a bottle of Le Fin du Monde, which means the end of the world. And it's, what, 9% or something stupid?
Oh, yeah. That'll make a mess of you.
I had 2, and then I stood up, and the whole world went, and then it went, and then I stumbled to the bathroom, and I was very confused why I was quite drunk after having 2 beer. So thank you, Quebec City, for that.
Yeah, that's an important life lesson.
It was.
But I think this is the knife that Don should have.
Oh, dude, I've never seen that. I can't believe that's here. I saw it because he made one for Naoto, for his wedding. And that's how I saw it. And then Naoto said, can you make 4 more or 5 more for the shops? So there's not many of those. Maybe tell us what that is. And
so
tell us the price, because I'm convinced the price is wrong. I'm convinced that's kind of half price.
I'm going to look it up because I don't want to say it right.
Well, no, say it because, you know what? If it's the wrong price, somebody could get a smoking deal.
Yeah, but
That's fine.
what if it's the wrong price on the price tag and it's like my fault?
Well, then that's funny.
You know? Yeah, this is not on the website.
Okay, I'll
Well,
look
this
it up.
price tag says
You
it's
tell us
820.
about it. You tell us about
Okay.
it, okay?
So this is a Yanagiba. Sometimes this kind of tip, this is called a Sakimaru tip. Sometimes someone will call it a takobiki, which is tako is the octopus. It's like an octopus. I don't know why they call it that, because apparently it's not really for slicing octopus. I'm not too sure. But
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The really flat blades are for slicing octopus. That's not. Some people call that a Yanagiba. I call it a Yanagiba.
Yeah.
The tip, the way it is, there a sword tip on there. That's called Sakamaru.
Yeah, it's really badass. So this is, I know I keep showing off that Kuroshu 240 that I really want, but this is the same style of finish made by Masashi, but with a white #2 in a Yanagiba. So a Yanagiba is a knife for slicing fish into sashimi, but it's what's called a single bevel knife. Like, look at the way that it differs, right? We've got one hard bevel here, and then the back of the knife is relatively flat. So that gives us a really, really fine point, right? Because on the back of the knife, it's hard to kind of show you on the camera here, but this side of the knife actually is concave. So the way that kind of comes down and then this side goes over like that, it gives you an even pointier point. So the knives are even sharper.
So, Chris, how long is that one?
That is a 270.
Okay, listen, we have one left in the entire store. We had 5 just recently. So the entire company has one left. It's that one. It is actually $825, which I thought was the wrong price. I thought for sure it'd be half price, but it's because it's Shirogami. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did say it was white.
Okay, good. Because that's actually the smart, in fact, that's the best steel for me for Yanagiba, because it's easy to sharpen and it takes a blazing edge. And dude, I'm just ready to add it to my cart here because I think that's a smoking stupid price.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's got this, I really like these handles too. Like, I know we always talk about the blade.
Oh, that's my favorite handle.
Yeah, so it's a burnt chestnut. They torch the chestnut. And then it's got a little buffalo horn collar on it. This buffalo collar is very, very dark. There's a couple little like striations on the back that would show you that it's buffalo horn, but it's super consistent. Yeah, I really like this knife. Too bad if I used it, I would cut my fingers off because I'm wrong-handed.
Chris, I got a good question here from Annabelle again. What kind of steel is the Takamura Chromax made with?
It's Chromax steel.
Ding.
Yep. Chromax is a pretty neat steel.
Super stable.
Yeah, it's pretty resilient. At least compared to like, a VG10. I find in the few that I've sharpened and I've dealt with, they perform very similarly to like a Takamura VG10. It is a semi-stainless steel, so you can expect a little bit of a patina to show up. And but it's a little less likely to chip through normal use if you were to compare it to a VG10. So I think they're great. I know the price is always awesome on them when we have them around too. They're like $215 for a Santoku or something like that. Like, they're not much. Maybe they're like 175. I can't remember. I haven't had one in the store for a while. So.
And Iceberg Moma said, is Chromax what the globals are made of?
No, the globals, the thing that I find confusing about some of the larger companies, like Shun, for instance, uses something called VG Max. That's what it says on the blade. But it's like VG10. Like, it's like, so globals and even Max are very whatever they're putting on there is very, very similar to molybdenum vanadium, which sometimes you'll just see it called MOLV, MOLV.
Yeah, which actually it is.
Yeah.
So also Miyabi's, for example, they all give you all kinds of names. Like, this is the MC400.
Oh yeah.
Dude, what does that mean? Right?
Like this birchwood here.
Yeah. What kind of steel do they claim it to be?
MC63 stainless steel.
Yeah, which is actually their strange proprietary name for R2.
Well, it actually starts off, they put a lot of information on this little stamp. It says 34388-180, which I know to be the product code for this particular knife. And oh, someone's saying something really nice on Instagram. Hello, we absolutely love the Masashi Yamamoto Shiroshu, Bunka, and Nakiri. We purchased them at your Ottawa location. Excellent service and amazing product selection. Well, thank you.
You must have been your day off.
Must have been my day off, yeah, unless like some wolfman looking weirdo helped you. That would have been me. But if you got good service, it was probably my staff. I tend to swear too much and get easily distracted. So there's actually, yeah, well, if you have a Bunka, a Shiroshu Bunka and a Nakiri, I'd go bigger. I'd get a 240. That's what I would add to that. I would add the two knives you're missing is a 240 Gyuto and a 120 Petty. That's what I would add to what you've already got. And then get a 270 Tsujihiki down the road. And that's everything you would ever need. That's my honest opinion. But then, Kevin, it says Cryodur Microcarbide MC63 stainless steel. Now, I bet you that MC63 is referring to the expected Rockwell hardness. I bet you that's what it is. The C would be Rockwell C, and then 63 is about what we expect these to be. I bet you I just solved a mystery.
Well, here we go. Looks like Brian Cook says globals are Chromova 18. Now, I understand from Chromova 18, from my app here that tells me all the knife steels in the world, that several trustworthy sources say that Chromova 18 is rebranded AUS 6M or AUS 18 or AUS 118. So there you go. So again, backing up your story that these guys make up names for the steels they use.
Well, and that's kind of like, that's, you know what, like there are some, like we see some of that in some of the knives that we sell, like SG2 and R2 are two types of powdered steel. They're essentially the same thing. It's just like one's coming from one company, the other's coming from the other.
Right? Exactly, and that's you see that with VG10 and oh shit, what's the Ginsan?
Ginsan, yeah.
Ginsan and VG10. Problem is, I think Ginsan is more stable than VG10.
Yeah, well, that's something that Naoto had said one time, that like the more you hit Ginsan with a hammer, the better you'll get. Like the potential of it is greater.
Well, Ginsan takes on forging factor. So as you hit something, some steels improve, which means they get harder and denser. So they get tougher and harder as you hammer them. Some don't. Like R2 takes on no forging effect, I'm told. But VG10 takes on a bit, but Ginsan takes on more. And Brian Cook says, you guys like the Cobalt Special, right? Yes, we do.
I do.
So I feel that Brian Cook's going to tell me something about it. So that's good.
Yep. Yeah, Kurasaki, I can get one, Brian. I'll go get one to show you. I think we've got some Gyutos in that line. Let me stretch my legs out. Do you know, Kevin, someone just posted on Instagram, or they tagged me in a post just now about cutting up squash. But on Instagram and Facebook today, we put up a video of how to cut up squash. I did that a couple weeks ago, and it's worth watching to the end. I'll just tell you that. Something good happens at the end.
What happened? I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
you guys are making videos that I haven't seen yet. I like your onion one. Why did you take a bite out of your onion?
Because you know what? I'll tell you why I took a bite out of an onion. I was getting real sick of saying things like you use a lot of onions and everyone needs to know how to do this. And like I was feeling like too infomercially, and I was just like, I'm just gonna bite the fucking thing. Like I just like what's gonna be a little bit more of a surprise, I guess. You know, someone I figured Jeevan, who he works in Vancouver and he edits all these videos for us. He has dubbed me and this pumpkin video will also explain it, but he has dubbed me the Johnny Knoxville of knifeware videos. So it's worth watching.
Well, I'm just Googling it right now. I'm going to see if I can watch it here.
Yeah. You know how to cut up a squash, so just skip to the end. It's better. I grabbed this to show Brian. So this is the Kurasaki Sesame, which is made out of Cobalt Special. And you know what? So I'm going to just read this out loud in case someone's not looking. Brian says, if Cobalt Special was tough, I thought it might be a good choice for the parents. I have bought a Kurasaki Sesame for my father-in-law. So he really wanted to, he sometimes comes on here and teases us. His name is Gabriel. And he cooks well, not so much right now, but Sunday dinner is a big thing. And so he always puts together this big meal, and he's been learning lots about cooking, and he does a really good job. And he wanted, everyone wanted to pitch in and get him a new knife. And previous to this knife, all they had was like kind of your Canadian Tire specials, something from IKEA, and he was real rough on them. And I was kind of, it took me a while to pick out something for him. So I ended up going with the Cobalt Special because it was less likely for him to chip. I was, to be honest with you, I was between that and a Fujimoto Nishiji, because the Fujimoto Nishijis are very easy for me to fix. Like they're just like, they sit on the wheel a little bit better for me. So that was really my train of thought there. But you know what, if you spend the money on it, take the time with them after, like don't be a dick about it. Like don't treat your parents like they're dummies, but show them the care sheet. All right. And I think it's perfectly okay to be like, hey, you know what? I got this for you. It's handmade. It's a little special. Please read this. You'll enjoy it better. Like, I think I generally encourage people to point out the care sheet, have them take a look, Oh, did you find it there?
I did. Does this look familiar? This is you at the end of the video.
Yeah.
And if you go like really to the end, like after the credits.
Yep, that's where you got to go. It's just like a Marvel movie. It's like a secret scene. It's like a hidden scene.
And it says, don't try this at home. And look at this. I can see what's coming. Did it work?
No, I didn't
just get stupid.
It. I just got dumb. Yeah, but that's what happens. Like, so Alex bet me I couldn't do it, and I didn't think I could do it, but I thought I should try, But Brian, you know what? I think with something like Cobalt Special, you're not going to get yourself into any trouble. I find when you're giving a knife as a gift and you give them a carbon steel knife and they don't understand what's going on, you're going to get a real dirty look when that knife gets rusty, right? They're going to think that you bought them something no good. It can make for an awkward conversation, but you shouldn't have any issue with this. I find it's generally the concept of rust is what gets people really worked up. If they were to put like a small chip in it or whatnot, just come and see us and we'll take care of it. It's those aren't the end of the world. But if you let them know that it's something special, it's usually enough. Like, one of the best things I can tell people is, like, if they're looking at a knife, like they're looking at a Denka, and I say, like, and they're worried about shipping or whatnot, I'll be like, you know what? This is a $750 knife. You treat it like you spent $750 on it, you're going to be okay. It's really just don't put it through the ringer. What else we got here? We got anything good? Iceberg says that they can't find the Yanagiba. Did you buy it?
I didn't. I actually just put the link there.
Oh, good.
We have somebody asking about Anderson knives, and I don't know the knife he's talking about because we have quite a few Anderson made stainless steel knives.
Yeah.
But Anderson isn't making a ton of knives. He hasn't for years. Ikeda-san makes most of them. Ikeda-san also forges all of the Kotetsu knives and all of the Tinker knives.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's a slouch. He's worked with Ikeda-san for years, and he's a master blacksmith in his own right. He's just taking over from Anderson. So I know I've heard people say that, oh, the knives aren't as good now that Ikeda makes them. No. Ikeda's been making most of them for years anyway. So if anyone bought an Anderson knife 3 or 4 or 5 years ago and thinks they're better than the ones now, I think it's just
I think you've been had.
Yeah, I think someone's told you some stories. So I don't know. Maybe Peter, you've got insight into that, but I know that Ikeda-san's made most of the Anderson knives for years now. Yeah. Even the ones that say Anro on them.
Yeah, and right, maybe
it's the company name. It's the company name, and he's the one doing it. I worked at a restaurant called St. John for years and years and years. Right, I was there for almost 5 years, and Fergus Henderson, the famed Fergus Henderson, he never worked in the kitchen a day that I was there. Oh, look at that! You got a dude bobblehead.
I do. I put it in the case. I found them in the basement.
Oh, wow! The basement's no place for that.
Oh, I know.
So listen, do we have any news to get through? Because I think it's probably we're getting to the end.
We're getting to the end here. Ken has a question. What Gyuto would you recommend in the 240 millimeter range to complement the Masashi Shiroshu line? Well, you could go with the 240 Kiritsuke from the Shiroshu line. You could also go with, everyone knows that I've got a real love affair for the Kuroshu 240. If you wanted something a little bit different, like you want to expand your horizons a little bit, the Manaka ATK 30 is a really beautiful knife. It's got a little bit of a
new knife
to it. It's got a really polished Tsuchime finish, so a hammered look to it instead of the Damascus. And it's going to be roughly the same for you to take care of. I would also go with, a Masakage Kumo is something a little bit different that you would, that would give you a good complement. The VG10 is arguably not as hard as the SLD, but they're really thin. The Masakage Kumos are super thin, and they definitely punch out of their league. And so, Kevin, it's hard, you can't hear the other half of the conversation, but Kevin was saying earlier that Onru's VG10 is a lot better than like a factory-made VG10, or even some other blacksmiths who work with it by hand. So those are, any of those. If you said you've been into the Ottawa shop, swing by sometime, and I've got one of each of these that I'm talking about. I'd be happy to show you some stuff. And if you can't make it in right away, just shoot us an email, ottawa@knifeware.com or chris@knifeware.com gets me directly. If you want someone like tonight, you should say like hello@knifeware.com, because I'm not going to check my email after I'm done this. I'm off tomorrow. So, so Kevin, we do have some news. I've been trying to have a list when we do these.
Oh, good. Before we start the news, we should probably tell people this is we're winding down. If you have any last questions, get them out. We'll make sure we answer them. Iceberg Mama, I've given you the link again. Tell me if it works. You're looking for the link for that knife. If you don't buy it, I might just do it, but I've posted the link again for you in the comments there. And Peter Smolka says, I love Anderson's knives, and I get that. Me too. I even love the man. Yeah. He's a good man. And Don Penny says, do I need a bunker and a co-bunker on my list, Chris?
Yeah, I said obviously. Yeah.
What do you recommend for a knife to break bones? I recommend an axe to break bones. You don't use a knife to break bones unless they're like duck bones and you got a fat Chinese cleaver.
Yeah. Well,
Feels like
we've
an
got
axe.
those Sakai Takayuki cleavers.
But they're still vegetable cleavers. They're not that robust.
Oh, do you? No, there's like the butcher, like the European style ones.
Oh, those ones. Yeah. But still,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to like. It would still just be chickens and like birds,
Yeah,
right?
you don't want it.
Rabbits. You wouldn't want to cut through like a cow femur with that.
No,
You just
you'll
break
just
your
break
knife.
it. Yeah.
I also think maybe Hugh is laughing at me and mocking us. So I don't know.
Mm. Oh, that could be. Yeah, that is something that people ask when they're trying to tease me.
All right. News. So yeah, any last questions? Get them in now. And news, Chris.
News. So we talked. Oh, he's mocking himself. You know what? I have chipped. No, don't ask. It's not a stupid question. Not at all. All right. I have people. People ask that in the store every day. Can I chop a bone with this? You're not stupid at all.
No, asking the question is good. Going about it, thinking that it's going to work, or thinking that it anyway.
I have done it. I have gotten so Kevin knows these things about me. You guys might not all, but I was a chef for quite a while before I worked here, and I was the yelly, angry type. And there was one time I had this Mac Deba. I don't even know if I've ever talked to you about this.
I don't know about the Mac Deba.
Yeah. No, the Moritaka Deba was not my fault. The Mac Deba was my fault. I was trying to, I had someone coming into the restaurant that night, and I had a bone saw, and I was trying to cut a marrow bone down the middle because I wanted to roast it for a friend and that kind of thing. And I couldn't get the damn thing to work. So I ended up taking this Mac Deba, which is pretty soft steel and real damn thick, and I put it on the top of the bone, and then I had a rubber mallet, and I tried to smack it in, and all I did was I took like a loony sized chip out of a huge fat knife. The knife, I don't even know where it is. I probably hucked it over the fence.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, I've never done it since. So you know what, Hugh?
There we go.
I'm the dumb one, not you. So big news. We've got two big events coming up. The first one is going to be, we've got a sharpening event coming up. Okay, so between October 26th to November 1st, 100% of our sharpening proceeds are going to be donated to our local food banks. So that's in Ottawa, Edmonton, Calgary.
That's huge.
That is huge. So Ottawa, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. So for that time period, we're donating everything. And so we want you to come in and get your knives sharpened. Okay, normally, I'll break it down for you right now. If you're dealing with Western knives, so Henkel's, Wusthoff's, those Sinelli knives they gave me when I was in culinary school, anything like that, kind of smaller knives, so 150 millimeters and less are going to be $6 a piece. Anything bigger is going to be 10, with repairs. Repairs start at $5, so broken tips, big chips out of the blade, stuff like that. Anything that's going to add a substantial amount of time to the job, we got to charge a little extra for. And then Japanese knives, same sizes, are going to be $10 and $15. So we're hoping to make this a big thing. So come in, we'll take care of your gear. We're anticipating a little bit of a rush, so give us a day or two to get them done. It's always like previous to this year of 2020, we've always tried to do your knives while you wait, but it's safer for everybody if you have it in your head that it's going to take us a day or two. All right, so be okay with leaving them overnight. We'll do them as quickly as we can, but we're hoping to raise a lot of money for the food bank. So there's a lot of people out there who need some help.
Hey, Chris, can you do me a favor? Can you go to Facebook and see if my posts are coming up at Facebook? I keep posting a link to that knife. I've done it 3 times now, and Iceberg Mama says can't.
Seen it. Oh, well, Iceberg is on
Oh,
YouTube.
I mean. Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything come up on YouTube. I can look for it too.
That's weird because I've just posted it 3 times.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Anyway, the knife is called Iceberg Mama, if you just search Masashi on our website, there's 2 Sakamaros. One's 270 millimeters, and that's the one. There's no picture of it yet, but you've seen it from Chris. And like I said, we had 5 or 6. Naoto got 1 for his wedding as a present, and the rest came to us on the website, but they all sold this week. So, so I'm glad you had one, Chris.
I tried to put it in there too. We'll see if it comes up. Infinite Being is saying, what is a good steel to learn sharpening?
All of them, except ZDP 189.
I was going to say whatever you don't really care too much about. You know what I like to do?
Yeah,
when
you know what?
learn how to sharpen? I have a bunch of knives from when I was in culinary school. I bring them in so the new staff can learn how to sharpen. But sharpen anything you can find, right? Any Western knives are going to be a little easier. You're going to get results a little bit faster because the steel is softer. But get lots of practice. Do all your knives. Ask your neighbor, ask your mom, whomever. You'll never, like when you're doing your neighbor's knives and stuff, you might not think it was perfect, but you will make their knives better. So you're still doing them a favor. You're getting more practice and you're not going to do any harm. So
that's outstanding advice. You're going to make it better than it was, and you're going to learn. That's great.
And you know what? You might be critical of it, but they're still going to say thank you. You might even get a beer out of it. So yeah, our first big event is going to be the sharpening for the food bank. A couple of weeks after that is going to be garage sale, which begins on November 16th and runs to the 23rd. We were talking about this a little earlier in the video, but it is largely online. The stores are going to get a small amount of inventory, so it is worth poking your head in and coming to visit us. If you're looking for the more like the super unique and rare, your better bet is to hit up the website, and that's the website's going to go live at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So that means,
and that's a big difference because usually it's 10 a.m. Calgary time.
Yeah. So normally, it's actually worked out in the past for the favor of Ottawa customers because I'm very good at knowing which stores have what knives. So I've been able to sell other people's knives. I won't be able to do that this year.
System? You little jerk.
You know what? If you like knives, I'm a good person to know. All right.
You're such a jerk.
I'm just going to tell you that. I'll get you what you want. I'll find it. Unless I don't know what you're talking about. And then don't ask me for one of those Serbian chef's knives that you saw on Facebook. I don't have those. I don't like talking about those. Leave me alone with those.
Have you sharpened one yet?
Yeah. I could sharpen it on the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah. A guy came in and said, I just got this thing. It's really cool. I got it on Instagram and it's not very sharp though. So I sharpened it. Yeah. And then he was back immediately. You sharpened it faulty. It didn't stay sharp. I'm like, it wasn't me.
Yeah,
it's just not very good steel. It looks great though. They're cool looking.
Yeah. So, but that would actually be like the tank is probably the most similar in style to those, actually, like that kind of tallish, like cleaver style, much thinner and Algami super. So it's like almost like one of those like rat rods you see like driving around like Las Vegas. Like it looks like a shitty old Volkswagen Beetle, except it's the fastest thing ever.
Peter Smolka says, is it normal for knives to bend? No. Where it's connected to the handle? No. He says, I noticed my lovely Kurasaki Petty does that. But the Anrusan has a slightly thicker portion there. Yeah. So the Anrusan won't bend. And it says also that his Miyabi does the same thing. Peter, I'm concerned about what you're doing.
I have a guess.
Garlic and whacking?
Garlic. Yeah.
Don't do that anymore.
Yeah, if you're a garlic crusher, that would do it. If you are going to crush garlic using the side of your knife, I would make sure, let's pretend this iPad case is the cutting board. Make sure your handle is over the edge of the cutting board and you're applying just enough pressure on the side of the knife to crack the garlic. You don't need to wind up and like pile drive it through the cutting board. There's no need for that.
I've got a question. Why do people whack garlic instead of just cutting it?
Because it's fun to destroy things.
Is that it? I don't.
That's why I do most of the things I do. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
So we've got sharpening coming up. We've got garage sale coming up. We did have a new video come out on Instagram and Facebook. Some tips on how to use a 240 to get some squash ready. And then I try to break a pumpkin with my head and it doesn't go that well. That's always fun to watch me do stupid things. That's why I'm kept around, I think, because it's not my bookkeeping skills, I'll tell you that. But you know what? There was a comment on that video, Kevin, where someone said, why would you bother peeling it? The skin is edible if you braise it or in soups and stews. And I've never tried that. I know there are some squashes, like a delicata squash is really small and a really thin skin. Yeah. I've eaten the skin on those, but
kabocha.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really nice, but
I've never tried that with like a butternut or an acorn squash before. I didn't know.
No, I've always taken the skin off.
Yeah, but I'll try it. Like I said, I've done it. There's some kabocha squash available at the grocery store. I might give it a go. Those are the two big goings on in the stores. We've got the video. I know Nathan and Mike were filming some more videos for the next holiday cookout. You know, they did a video about roasting a turkey and carving it. I think they did something for some sides. So keep an eye out on Instagram and Facebook. We've always got new videos coming out. Garage sales coming up, sharpening's coming up. There was something that I wanted to show everybody and I forgot, but we got some really cool new knife blocks in the Ottawa store.
Oh, I want to see those. I want to see those.
So it's this guy, his name's Glenn. He's got a small company called Sticks and Boards. He's a furniture maker otherwise, and he started making these out of like the end bits. So it's all walnut with maple up here, and this is just like a wooden knife. But they sit on the counter and they hang there.
Can you get a Masakage Nikiri?
I don't have a Masakage one, but I'll get a Fujiwara one. But so he made us a custom size because this one here will fit your 270 Yanagiba, should you want it to.
Oh, dude.
And it doesn't touch.
Dude, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Does it fit a Masakage Nikiri?
It will.
They're taller, you know?
Yep.
The Moritaka Nikiris are taller too.
Yeah. We've also got,
at least the ones, do you know that the Moritaka Nikiris we get from Moritaka-san are taller than the ones they send out to other places?
Oh, really?
Do you know why?
Because
I like taller Nikiris. Yeah. And I asked.
Well, here's a 195 Fujiwara Nikiri.
Okay, that's a pretty fat Nikiri.
And that fits.
Turn it around so we can see.
That fits in there, no problem.
No problem. You know what? This reminds me of that magic trick where they stick a bunch of swords in the poor lady stuck in the box.
Yeah. Yeah. So these guys have done.
So maybe we can start a magic show.
Maybe. Yeah, these guys have done a really good job. We got an order from them in the Ottawa store. I know that the other store managers were interested in grabbing some too. So, and they're cheap. Like this is the custom size that they did for us. I believe it's $140. And
listen,
it'll hold.
Iggy wants to know if they're on the website yet. They're not on the website yet.
Yeah, but if you send me an email, Iggy, because I know we've had a few communications, send me an email and I'll get you all the pertinent info.
That's chris@knifeware.com, but it's CHRIS.
Yeah. But they make a few different sizes. Like, so this is like the custom size for like the bigger Nikiris and the 270s. They do one that'll fit like a 10-inch chef's knife and then one that'll fit an 8-inch chef's knife, depending on what you've got. So there's 3 sizes, but they'll hold 10 knives, and they're really great. Like I was super happy to find them. They're locally made in the Ottawa area as well. So.
And if it's made by a furniture maker, you know it's done well.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about woodworking and that kind of thing, but Sean, who works here, he knows a fair bit. He was commenting on the joinery and whatnot, as was another really good customer of ours, named Edward, who lives around the corner, and he does a lot of like Japanese woodworking as a hobby, and he was quite impressed with the job that these guys did too. So I just, you know what, they're simple, they're easy to keep clean. It's a really, I don't know, it's a really cool piece. It's a lot.
Will it fit a 300 mil?
No, it won't fit a 300 mil.
All right. Well, James Wang's asking if we have something that fits a 300. Yeah, a magnet block for the wall from Belgrade.
Yeah, that's the best bet. But if you, I don't know, James, maybe we could, I can talk to Glenn about getting something. He's open to custom things. He just asks that we, you know, order enough pieces at once. So if you send me an email and it's something you're interested in, I could, next time we place an order, we could get something custom for you. Or I could try. I shouldn't promise that out of the gate, but I could try. He seems open to it.
Listen, Chris, back to the bent knives. Peter's saying maybe it's the technique of cutting because he works in a restaurant and sharpens knives for chefs.
Okay.
So I don't know. I was a chef for 20 some years and I haven't bent my knives. But that's not true because I have bent knives.
I have too. Yeah.
I've just bent them back.
Yeah.
I've got a plan for that. Buy a Masashi. They're fatter up there, they're rugged, and they're built to take a bit more heat. Kurasaki's just trying to make really thin, pretty knives, which he succeeds at.
Yeah. Yeah, but if they bent a little bit, like here's the part they don't want. This will be my funny story of the week that we sign off with, because that seems to be a thing I do. I went to a restaurant here in Ottawa called Datsun. It's over on Elgin Street, and I went with my girlfriend. She had a friend in town. And whenever we go out for dinner, I usually ask, like, is this one of those times where, like, because, you know, being the guy who runs the knife store, all the chefs and the cooks know who you are.
Do you find when you go into restaurants, Chris, that they run around and shuffle their knives when they see you, just in case you come up to the windows, so that they hide the knives they're embarrassed by?
Yeah, the ones that are chipped or whatnot, they usually try to hide those. But I try to explain to them that I'm here to help. I'm here to fix them. Like, you don't need to be afraid. You have done nothing to a knife that I have not done myself at some point. And let's be honest, I should know better than you. And I've still made the same mistakes. So, and that's like, you know, and there's been a few times we've done these videos. Kevin takes a knife out and he's like, "Oh shit, there's rust on this one." Like,
I can't show you my Denk. I can't show you my Denkin Akiri. It's got 3 chips in it.
Yeah, see, it happens.
So
it happens.
bad.
You got a house with kids, or, you know, maybe your partner doesn't understand what you've got there.
No, it's me.
Well, I was trying to save you, but
it's me. I'm an idiot.
It happens. So I go into this place, Datsun. I ask my girlfriend, I say, is this like, we're going out for dinner, is this one of those times where it's like Chris the knifeware guy, or is it just Chris? Like, where are we going? And she's like, the knifeware guy would be nice. I haven't seen this friend in a while and I want to show off. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll go to Datsun. They like me there. And so we go in, and I had, like, you know, 4 or 5 too many drinks. And then one of the cooks comes up to my table and says, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you while you're eating, but I have a knife. I've bent it. Can you take a look at it for me before you leave?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that. That's no problem." So then I had like another drink or two, and then we're on the way to go. I'm like, "Oh, Tennyson asked me to go look at her knife." And so I go up to the pass in the middle of, like, this is a late night restaurant too. Like, they're still busy at 11 or 12. And I go up, and it's like, she had I remember the knife. It was a 270 Koishi Gyuto. And so I take this knife and I like, yeah, it's got this little bit of a veering off to one side, and I kind of give it the look. You know, I'm doing that. And then I just put it on the table, my hand on it, and I start yanking on it, just reefing on it. And everyone was like, oh my God, what's he doing? And I was like, don't worry. If I break it, I'll buy you a new one. And then, but I fixed it. It was fine. But I was way too drunk to be fixing a knife in a public place. Because it's, you know what, when you're trying to like bend someone's knife back and they're watching you, that is a stressful moment. Because the thing about bending a knife back, if you're going too hard, you might end up with two pieces.
Or crack the handle.
Yeah,
if
or
it's
bust
a
the
Japanese
handle or
handle,
something.
you can
Yeah.
crack the handle. That's a thing I've seen, not done, but I've seen. So now I'm scared. James Wang has a question. For Yanagiba shape, what's your favorite? Regular Yanagiba, Sakamaru, or Kurtsuke? I've got an answer.
I like the way they all look. I'll be honest, I've never used a Yanagiba. Except, well, that's not true. I did use the Maguro Bocho that time, but I had to cut like 80 briskets with my wrong hand. You remember that in Toronto?
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
I got videos.
So I like the look of that Sakamaru tip. I would say I probably lean towards Kurotsuke tips myself. Something that I generally like.
I like regular tip, but I think Sakamaru looks cool.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get, one's not going to give you a better use than the other, I don't think. Unless you're really into some detailed stuff. But generally speaking, go with the one that makes you feel like a rock star. That's usually my answer.
Yep.
So,
Excuse
all
me.
right.
All right.
I think that's it. I think, Don wants to put a 360 mil Suji in a shadow box that has like a little door.
Wow.
You know what,
Obviously,
Don? If you come by the store, Don, don't come tomorrow or the day after, because you should probably be working and I won't be here. But if you come in, bring something in and you can try my, I have tomatoes and potatoes, but if you want to try slicing something bigger, bring whatever along that you want. You can use my 360. I'll make sure it's good and sharp so you can try it out of it.
Cool.
So,
that's service. Wow.
Yeah.
After all the bad things Don Penny says about your brisket too.
I know. Well, that's what separates me from the rest, right?
As per Mona says, I keep having microchips in the middle of the edge of my Takeda Nikiri. It has a small belly and it's not really flat. No big deal. I sharpen it if the honing rod is not doing it anymore. Sounds like you're using and taking care of your knife perfectly. Good job, man.
Yeah. The Takeda Nikiris, or Takeda's knives, sometimes they get those microchips because there isn't often like a Koba. There's not a secondary bevel on a brand new Takeda. He just it's almost like a Scandinavian ground hunting knife where it's just a flat line down to the point. So they are a little bit easier to chip like that. So if that keeps happening, you can always just give it a little bit, give it like a 15-degree angle after it's been thinned out, and that should help you with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So cool.
All right,
well,
Chris.
I think we should say good night. Well, thanks again for everyone for watching. You know how to get hold of me, chris@knifeware.com. If you had more of a generic question or something with like a shipment or whatnot, you're better off emailing hello@knifeware.com. That'll get you the help desk, and whomever is watching that generally knows more about how things work than I do. I'm just good at talking a lot, so that's why I do these things.
Peter, hold on. Peter again is asking one last question here. Do you ever consider putting a convex ground on a kitchen knife? Would it cut better than a 50-50 angle? Many and even most knives from the kitchen are actually convex to some degree.
Yeah.
So there you go. And 50-50, 60-40, blah, blah, blah. I don't think those mean anything. I don't think they change the way it's sharpened at all, or change the way it's used at all. But anyway, that is a different story for another day.
You know what? That's a really good question to ask Naoto on Friday afternoon.
Oh, yeah, ask, yeah, because Naoto and I do the advanced sharpening. So ask us on Friday about that. That's a great idea.
So today's Tuesday. Thursday evening, we've got our sharpening demo with the Vancouver crew. You'll either get Francis or Owen. They're both incredible at sharpening.
Or Ayumi.
Has Ayumi been doing them?
No, but I hear that she might.
Oh, fun.
And she might do it in Japanese.
Oh yeah, no, well, I think that might be a different video.
No, but they're filming something. She might do a live Japanese one.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I've been encouraging it, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the Thursday night one, like if you had like a 220 and a 1000 and an old Henkel, like someone was asking about what can I learn on, put those things together and you can follow along with them. Friday afternoons, we've got Naoto and Kevin do an advanced sharpening class. Same idea, lots of opportunity for Q&A. The theme to it, I was watching Naoto was repairing a busted up Usuba. Sometimes it's about rust removal, sometimes it's about finger stones and different finishes. But much like our conversation today was about what do you buy as a gift, it often goes off the rails and
it meanders quite a bit.
Yeah. So, but have fun with it. That's why we do it, right? We're here to help everybody. So if you don't ask, we can't answer, but I really enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun for me. I like chatting with everybody and helping you out. So yeah, keep an eye on the website. Garage sales coming up, sharpening for the food banks coming up, video on Thursday, video on Friday. There's always tons of great content coming out on the website. Lots of blogs are getting written, videos are getting made. So keep an eye on what we're doing and don't be afraid to reach out should you need an extra hand. We're always happy to. Even if you don't know what to make for dinner, send me an email. I'll help you. I don't care. I got nothing else to do. So wicked. Well, I guess that's everything I got. You got anything, Kevin, or should I hit the red button?
Thank you, guys. You're doing great. Yesterday, I watched your 2-part documentary about Japanese knives. You did a really good job on that. Thanks, Peter. There's a part 3 coming out soon. As soon as I can go back to Japan, film it, edit it, and get it back up. And I'm going to play all the music for it. Ha! So it should be just garbage.
I should probably help you with that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll go to Japan. I'll give you lots of great footage.
No, I was thinking you should just do the music.
I don't know that I could actually help with that. I could like play this bottle. There we go.
You got an upright bass.
Yeah, but I can't play it.
You got an accordion.
I guess I could practice. No, I don't have an accordion. I've always wanted to learn how to play one, but I'm afraid my girlfriend will leave me.
She might.
If you look like this and then you start like and you're learning how to play the accordion, that's not going to sound good. Like I'd have nothing going for me at that point. I think the only thing I've got going for me right now is that I don't play the accordion. So, all right. I'm going to say goodnight.